Intervention plan updates. So the first three students were moved into my Pioneer time to give them a little bit more small group based to check in with homework submission and how they were doing on the concepts that we were learning in class, encouraging them to take retakes of some quizzes and tests and things like that. And so we put this intervention plan in place after their pre-test, their STAR test, and their Unit 1 test. I just kind of identifying them as students who were a little bit lower in math but still had that motivation to do well. And so when we look at their STAR scores for their progress update, this was done mid-semester, so hoping for somewhere around a 25-ish increase in their STAR score would be about average for students. Our first student did really well, moving from our lower end of the does not meets category to the higher end of that category. So really showing some good growth, where the student was generally only growing maybe 10 points a STAR, and in between assessments, a 30-point growth is really good for them. The next student did really well with this intervention and continues to do really well with it, growing 52 points, which put them in the partially meets category. So they're picking up on things that they had missed, and they are looking at some growth in some of the standards that we're looking at. The next student, really disappointed. A 77-point decline really shows that they just didn't try on their STAR test, didn't take it seriously. And so what we did was we added in a more targeted intervention with more intentional check-ins one-on-one with the teacher instead of just those group check-ins during our Pioneer time. They were asked to do some more private sit-down sessions during their study hall and things like that, and really just stressing the importance of wanting to do well and taking pride in what we do. The next student had a 14-point growth, which, it's lower. The student was missing a lot of algebra skills and still continues to kind of struggle with that. So as their STAR is adjusting for what they know and where they're at, a 14-point growth is okay. Obviously would like to have seen more, but doing what they can. And they did try on the test, which is positive for me and shows that they really care. And we'll continue to do those one-on-ones, and really hopefully we can get them caught up with some of those standards that they're behind in. And then the last one just kind of blew everything out of the water, went in a 91-point growth, which, can have, if you read into the scores, a little bit of like, well, were they trying on the first test or not trying? But really this student took pride in wanting to do well. And so went from a does not meets in their first assessment in September to a meeting the standards result in November. And when we say meeting the standards, it means meeting the standards for where they're at, for what standards they've learned. And so, this result, it might level out on their next test. They might not grow nearly as much on their next test because it'll auto adjust and really gauge them on where they're at. But overall, proud that they're taking these interventions seriously, proud that they're taking pride in their grades, proud that they are continuing to wanting to work hard and do the best that they can.